Hello everyone, today we have a fighting deck that has been absolutely dominating everything in the game at this point. In the most recent Ursa Day tournament, this is the only deck that went a perfect 10-0 on the first day of play. It has faced an astounding set of matches. It has went up against several Pikachus because Pikachu is making a comeback because of all the Gyarados. It went up against last week's winner with the Golem. It went up against another similar build in a Hitmonlee Farfetch'd, an aggro Blaine deck, several Gyarados decks, Mewtwo. It was able to beat that one, which I think is probably the harder matchup for us. And then it beat the Charizard Arcanine deck, which was previously one of the best decks in the game. Still very, very solid. But this one is absolutely coming in. It has early aggression. It beats the Pikachu aggression a lot of times because we have a lot of just either bursty play. We can do a revenge with Marshadow that one hits the Pikachus. We can stall them out from evolutions with our Aerodactyl, and just a lot of cool utility from this deck. The energy costs are incredibly low. Absolutely phenomenal build. And it feels like it can honestly hold its own against just about everything right now. We've seen aggro stuff be strong in the past with Pikachu, and this one, because it has that typing advantage, can match up and beat Pikachu pretty easily or pretty often. As far as the cards go, I've seen a couple of different versions. This one runs 1 Mythic Island Mankey, 1 Genetic Apex, not the promo, 2 Mythic Island Primates, the double Aerodactyl EX, the double Marshadow, beautiful. And then my favorite card recently, Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee can single one-shot a Magikarp in the backline, which with all of the Gyarados and that deck being so strong, Hitmonlee can absolutely shut it down incredibly well. We have the one Hitmonlee for either bringing home the game, so whenever they pivot and they have like a 30 damage EX in the backline, we can throw him in, switch it out, have him attacking that same turn, and bring home the game where otherwise we might not be able to find a win. And then as far as trainers, it's the standard Research Pokeball, double Sabrina, 1 Giovanni, double Old Amber, and double X-Speed. We have relatively cheap retreat costs, but we want to be very fluid and very flexible in what Pokemon is out in that front line, because sometimes we're going to attack with an Aerodactyl, pivot into a basic, so that we can sacrifice that into the Marshadow Revenge, into following it up and bringing it home with our Aerodactyl. We want to be very fluid, and the X-Speed helps us be able to do that. We're going to go ahead and jump over into a couple of games. This deck is an absolute terror. Watch out for this one. It's going to be on the rise very, very soon. I think Psychic stuff does do well against it, but we are able to hold our own against Mewtwo pretty often, especially if we get Aerodactyl, since we don't have that typing disadvantage. And then we can kind of maneuver and flexibly find ways to win. We're going to go ahead and jump over into a couple of games. Thank you guys, as always, for being here. Hope you guys enjoy. Well, we're going to go X-Speed. Do a retreat into the Aerodactyl. We have double Sabrina there as well, so we are perfectly content with throwing out the Sabrina. We take away their Dratini, and then they're just left with the Druddigon. If they do the same thing, if they do 1 Dratini this next turn, we have another Sabrina to make them pivot again. We're going to make it really difficult for them to evolve any of that backline without a pretty big roster to lean on. We'll take it. Let's jump over into the next one. All right, we are going second here. We are going against a water deck. We have Hitmonlee, we have Marshadow. I don't really like to start with Marshadow, but I also don't really like to let them know we have the Hitmonlee. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play out the Marshadow, and that's it. Now, if they have a Misty, then we could be in trouble, unless it's the Gyarados type deck, which is still very, very strong. Hopefully we can find a way to offset it. Now, oh man, we should have went with the Hitmonlee. Unless we can somehow get like an X-Speed. Okay. They're gonna be catching these I would say hands, but they're gonna be catching these feet, man. Oh my gosh. Let's go ahead and go double Pokeball just to pull additional things. So we'll play out a Mankey. Let's pull in one other Mankey as well. I'm gonna go ahead and play him out. Just the one. I'm not gonna play 2, just in case we get our Old Amber. Let's go X-Speed. We're gonna pull out the Marshadow. back into the back line, and that Magikarp is going to catch hands, my guy. Oh my goodness. We'll take the win. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, we're going second, so we do get to attack first. We have the guaranteed low kick. We have Hitmonlee, which it's a water deck. We have an X speed, so if they happen to have, I don't know, Magikarp in the back line, we can absolutely destroy that fish. Let's go with the Mankey. We're going to lock it in. Articuno, very scary, because if they had... No, okay. They're going first. If they go Misty and get super lucky, there's a chance we lose here. So knowing it was water, maybe we should have thrown Hitmonlee as well, but I guess it's still super dependent on one, them having Misty. Wow, and they do. And then two, them getting super lucky with the Misty, which I'm hoping that they don't. Oof. Nothing worse than a turn one, like triple Misty heads into a win. I'm glad that that did not happen. But no energy for them. They've wasted one of their Misties. We do get the Primeape Evo. You love to see it. Let's go Pokeball. We can't evolve with the Primeape this turn, but next turn, you better believe that's going to happen. I'm going to go ahead and throw the Hitmonlee just to protect us against the Sabrina. I don't think he's going to have very many targets in that back line, but just to protect us from the Sabrina so we don't potentially lose our Marshadow. Go with a low kick. Next turn, we can evolve it into the Primeape. We start building onto the Marshadow, and then we can build onto an Old Amber if we get it. The beauty of this deck is it's quick, and it's very cheap energy-wise, and so you can have your Pokemon online very quick, very early, and they're going to be throwing hands very fast. Okay, going for the dig with Professor's Research. And then it's an Eevee. Ooh, wait a minute. An Eevee and a Magikarp. So they're looking to do the Gyarados. I mean, this was not on the plan or the bucket list necessarily. But we have the Hitmonlee, which I love as a counter to these like Gyarados style decks. Absolutely love it. Let's go with the Primeape. We're going to delay getting Marshadow online or ready for one turn here. Let's stretch over into the back line. We knock out their Magikarp. Would be Gyarados. Would be deadly. Especially if they get the Vaporeon and they can pivot those energies around. We're not going to let that happen. So now we have the Marshadow that we can build up this follow-up turn. And if we wanted to stretch into the background, we could take out the Eevee. But I think we probably pivot back into Primeape. We build up the Marshadow. Ooh, wait. Hold on. They're going to let us knock out another Magikarp? I don't know how good that is, but it's fun, for sure. They take down the Hitmonlee a peg, but it's wild to me that they went ahead and threw out the other Magikarp rather than waiting until Hitmonlee was dealt with. I mean, I'm not complaining. We get the Pokeball. We could get another Primeape going. Because I don't think we're going to find the Old Amber or Aerodactyl EX. So let's go ahead and throw him so we have that extra Primeape primed and ready. Just in case anything like cheeky or weird happens. Let's build up the Marshadow so that whenever Hitmonlee dies, we can smack 100 damage. And we're gonna take out the poor little Magikarp that couldn't. Oh man, I can't believe that they threw a second one. That gives us another, like, just a free turn, a free point. They can no longer do Gyarados, so that takes away a big chunk of their like threat for that late game damage. They do get Blizzard online. They have a potion to heal up their Articuno a touch, but this is going to be their first prize here. We're going to turn around and smack a 100 with Marshadow. And then if they try to like retreat it out and run, we have Sabrina. All right, let's go with the Marshadow. 100 damage is huge for us. You get Old Amber. We could throw in another Marshadow, but I don't think that's the play for us. I'm also going to go ahead and evolve into a Primeape just because. Marshadow, we could build it up for when this one dies, but that's going to take an extra turn. It doesn't really get us what we need. I'm just going to leave the Marshadow so that doesn't take chip damage. I'm also going to leave the Old Amber. We're just going to go with the Revenge. Do they have another potion? If so, we're looking for Giovanni. They can also pivot the Articuno. Oh, they do. They're going to pivot the Articuno. Do they also have another potion? We have Sabrina. We've taken out a lot of their flexible backline. So I don't think they're going to like play another Eevee. But they are going to wash themselves out. They won't be able to knock out our Marshadow here, which is beautiful. Poor Vaporeon. You did what you could, but it is not going to be enough. We get the Old Amber, but we're staring down a Sabrina. And even if we couldn't knock them out with our Marshadow, we have Primeape that could pivot and do the 50 instead. So let's say they had... No, if they had a second potion, we'd be in a trickier spot. But we will gladly take the win. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, we are going second here. We do have a... I kind of wish we were going first, but at least we get the first attack. We are going against a Psychic deck, which tells me it's probably Mewtwo. And for me, anyways, Mewtwo is one of the kind of tougher matches. We have the typing disadvantage, and if we don't deal with their stuff incredibly quickly, we lose incredibly quickly. So we'll see. They have the Professor's Research plus Pokeball. You hate to see it. Absolutely hate to see it off the jump, because that means they're going to have a tremendous amount of resources and evolution potential. Let's hit them with a Professor's Research of our own. Aerodactyl and a second Sabrina. So Old Amber, let's go ahead and build into the Mankey. We do a little bit of chip damage. We can evolve it this turn into... I guess the follow-up turn, into the Primeape. Kirlia, scary. The backup Mewtwo, also scary. Then Mythical Slab, also could be scary. It puts the potential for like Gardevoir or whatever higher up, and so it gives them a lot of benefit, fortunately. Evolve into the Primeape. That allows us to survive one or tank one hit from their basic attack on the Mewtwo. Get our next Primeape as well, which is kind of okay. We might need like a Marshadow or something as that like revenge damage. So let's go Marshadow. Let's go with the Aerodactyl into... I say we build up the Aerodactyl. Build up the Aerodactyl for now. And then we'll slap them with a 50 damage punch here. And this way, if they do decide to just add a basic energy onto Mewtwo, we can pivot and knock him out. The Mew EX. Oh, they do have the Gardevoir. Oh my god. On curve too. I feel like every Mewtwo deck that I face, now that there's like the Mythic Slab and all of that fun stuff, I feel like every Mewtwo deck that I face has Gardevoir on curve. And it feels awful. Alright, so they build one onto the backup Mewtwo. They go Psychic Sphere. We live with the Primeape. We're alive. Let's go with an X-Speed. Get that guy out of here. Treat the Primeape into the Aerodactyl. At our second energy, we do the Land Crush. And we have a Sabrina if we ever are able to like pivot it out. And with Land Crush. See what happens. Get the first 2 points, but they do have a Gardevoir. They have Mewtwo, which is going to be just a major threat earlier rather than later. Honestly, I think we pivot the Aerodactyl out here. In for the Primeape. I think we throw out the Primeape. We get 50 hit points of chip damage. And then we have the Marshadow that can come in with a big major attack. Giovanni could help us out as well a little bit later on. Retreat out the Aerodactyl, in for the Primeape, build up Marshadow here in the back line. Kind of wish we had like a Mankey or something to potentially be our sacrificial lamb, but maybe it's fine. All right, 100 damage onto the Mewtwo, which is going to be up, rocking and rolling this turn. They could pivot it into, what, the Mew EX? And then depending on how they approach it, we'd be hoping for like Hitmonlee or Mankey or something to make sure that we're, or even Old Amber, honestly. Something to make sure that we're not going to sacrifice our EX Pokemon. They do go with a Leaf. You better believe that they're getting rid of that Mewtwo in the front line. Into the Mew. So they can get the genome hacking up and online. Sabrina would be a fine card or fine play for us if we could also go Giovanni, because then we could knock out the Gardevoir that they would throw our way. But we got to go Marshadow. We're hoping for Professor's Research, Pokeball, Hitmonlee, something where we have that Marshadow. Marshadow works as that sacrificial lamb for us. So let's go Marshadow. Let's go with a little bit of revenge. Actually, they can pivot into the Mewtwo. We can't one-shot the Mewtwo, can we? They have us. We can't one-hit KO the Mewtwo without the second Marshadow being up and online. I thought we were going to be able to make it happen even with the Gardevoir early. We're not going to be able to do it. Leaf for the retreat is fine. That's into the Mewtwo, and it's not quite low enough for us to deal with. All right, so side drive. If we find Hitmonlee, we win. Come on, Hitmonlee. That's it. There's a Pokeball in there, too. Shoot. Well. In that case, we probably lose. We gave it our best. Because now they throw in the Gardevoir. They have to. And then as long as they can get the Mewtwo up and online and attacking next turn, then they're fine. Man, Hitmonlee would have been so clutch for us. All right, let's do a little bit of land crushing. And they've used both Leafs. So do they have an X speed as well? Or I guess a Giovanni? Do they build Giovanni into their deck anymore? They're not completely out of this. They're trying to think of the line. Okay, build onto the Gardevoir. That's good. Shadow, okay. Into the pivot into Mewtwo. Do they have Giovanni? Would be, I guess, our... No, even if with Giovanni. If they had Giovanni, they would have needed to go Mew EX. They didn't. So we win. Do we get Hitmonlee now? No, Old Amber. We can't find it to save our lives. That's fine. We don't need to. Let's hit him with a second Sabrina. And we are going to beat the big, bad Mewtwo deck that had the Gardevoir on curve. My goodness. We will take it. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Foxy Moody. We are going first. We have the double Mankey into Primeape. I'm going to go ahead and prime this one. I'm not going to throw the second one since we are going first. And we're going against an electric deck, so probably Pikachu seeing the Voltorb. I think we have a pretty good advantage against that deck and against that line. Let's go Old Amber, Pokeball, Marshadow. Beautiful. We'll go with the Marshadow. Finding a Hitmonlee would also be pretty good. I don't want to take up this last slot in case we find another Marshadow, in case we need to like sacrifice an Old Amber. I don't think we need to rush a second Primeape. So we're going to go ahead and end the turn. The beautiful thing about this deck is that we do have the one energy evolution, so going first is no longer just absolutely awful. Sometimes it's not great, but a lot of times you can deal with it. With Giovanni in hand, we're going to be able to one-hit KO the Voltorb, and I don't think there's ever a scenario where they retreat him out. There's just... You wouldn't really expect your Voltorb to just get absolutely bodied in one turn. They don't go with Pokeball. I'm assuming we see Pikachu EX come down soon. Zapdos EX as well, which is still... This is the only card. Zapdos EX is the only card in Genetic Apex that I am missing. I've opened a couple of thousand cards. Wait. Do they really? They really retreated out the Zapdos or the Voltorb. Wow. I honestly, I don't believe it. That is so wild to me. Kudos to you for sniffing out the plan, I guess. We could go Giovanni, so it does 60, but it's fine. Let's throw a regular punch. We're safe for this follow-up turn. If they evolve the Voltorb, it's a 2 energy attack, but it does do, I think, 70 damage. Something pretty nice, and it has a free retreat cost. Zapdos also has a pretty cheap retreat cost. We have to look out for. Okay, big potion. We're still within 2-shot range with the Primeape. Giovanni. Not gonna knock him out. Then we do get the backup Old Amber. Alright, let's go ahead and, I guess, build into this Marshadow. Then I'm tempted to go Hitmonlee as well. Yeah, let's go ahead and throw the Hitmonlee. Just so that they know their backline is not safe. So 50, they retreated out, and what, knock us out with a Voltorb or Electrode? Voltorb with Giovanni or Electrode evolution. Could do it. They've already burnt 1 X speed. There's the Pikachu coming down. making his grand debut. They've done both Pokeballs, Professor's Research, so their draw is relatively low. I'm sure that they have like a backup basic to fill the board. Got to retreat out the Zapdos, yeah. But do they have the Electrode? They do not. They do have the Giovanni, the second Giovanni. Oh my goodness. All right, good. The bad thing here is if they have a way to get, well. If they have a way to get Pikachu fully online, we are in trouble. Go with the backup Mankey since we have the Primeape now. And we knock out their Voltorb, not who we would want to use the 120 damage attack on. Is what it is. And so if he, man, we should have protected him. Since it's 120, that's a one-shot for the Pikachu. If they don't have a basic, we survive. But I'm sure they always have a basic, right? Electrode Evolution. We survive. So now all we have to do is pivot and we win. One retreat cost to get Marshadow back out of the limelight. We evolve the Primeape. For giggles, I'm gonna throw the Aerodactyl. Just get it out of our hand. Throw the Primeape Punch. If we lose him, it's fine. Because then we pivot into the 120 damage attack, so it doesn't matter who's in the front line. As long as it's an EX Pokemon. Well, yeah, as long as it's an EX Pokemon, we have Giovanni, so even this guy would be a one-shot KO. Pikachu's reign of terror has come to an end. Okay, so you're gonna go ahead and stall for another turn, hoping for a miracle. But you know what? It's fine. So 50, 60, 70. We can do 80 damage with the Giovanni. I don't think we pull anything with Pokeball, but we may have backup Marshadow. We do. All right, let's build into the Aerodactyl in case we need him. We're going to throw 50, 60, 70. We're going to throw Giovanni. One hit KO the Electrode, so that they don't have that extra turn that they need to build up. Because what they were hoping for was to somehow try to survive a punch with their Zapdos EX in the back line, the 138 health one, and then throw like a Thundering Hurricane. We're not going to let them have that stall turn. Professor's Research, they get their backup Pikachu. It's not going to be fast enough to be able to stop us. All right, they add the extra energy onto Zapdos EX. Then retreat him out for the Pikachu. You're just stalling, my friend. I don't think you have a way to be able to bring this one home. You're just wasting time, my dude. So X speed, we can do 100 damage against the Pikachu. We can't one-hit KO it, so we've also only lost one prize token. So let's build onto the Aerodactyl. Throw our basic 70 damage punch, and we're applying crazy amounts of pressure. So even if they now can pivot into the Zapdos, that stalls us from winning for one additional turn, but honestly, it's fine. It's not the worst thing. We're gonna throw Hitmonlee into the front line. We're We're not gonna threaten or potentially lose our Marshadow. We're not gonna throw an EX out. Hitmonlee is fine if he dies. Brother has wasted 30 years of my life here, man. Thank you. We're gonna go ahead and end it because he was stalling. My goodness, he took up about probably 4 minutes after the game had been decided. We'll take it. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, another water deck. My goodness. And we are going first, so we don't get the first attack. We get the first evolution potentially, which allows us to get Old Amber online quick. With the Hitmonlee, if they don't have them, I guess if they don't evolve the Magikarp, then we're in a very good spot with him. Let's go with the Old Amber Professor's Research, and we might throw the second Old Amber just for giggles. Maybe not. With this draw, this is a little bit of everything that our deck has to offer, and so we just have a full board worth of threat. So let's go ahead and end the turn, see what they do with their Magikarp. If I guess they would have to pivot him out. Otherwise, we're going to knock him out with the Hitmonlee, which Hitmonlee has been that secret tech for me against the Gyarados stuff, and I absolutely love it. I love it so very much as a way to kind of shut down Magikarp. However, they're going to be trying to keep Magikarp alive here by putting him into the front line until they get the Gyarados going. Very interesting for sure. If we had Primeape, we could evolve the Mankey, X-Speed pivot, and then still knock him out. And so we are going to go digging with our Professor's Research. Primeape? That is not a Primeape. But we get Sabrina. Not that I don't know if we ever actually need to use it or not. Let's go Pokeball just to thin our deck a touch. Then I'm gonna go ahead and build onto the Hitmonlee. And actually, we're gonna do the Hitmonlee. I'm gonna smack the Eevee in the back line. Maybe there was a play or shot for like bringing Aerodactyl or EX into the front line so they couldn't evolve their Pokemon. Maybe there was a line somewhere. So they get the Lumineon, which is it does 150 damage to one of the benched Pokemon, which is craziness. But it takes 3 water energy to be able to be effective. Go ahead and evolve this backline guy. And I entirely forgot that Aerodactyl doesn't have to be in the front line. So now they can't evolve the Magikarp unless they move him out. Get the retreat. Oh, okay. We will gladly take the win. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, we are going second here. We have a... I kind of wish we were going first since we have the Primeape evolution line. We're going against a fighting deck, which honestly... it's either a Golem or it's this deck, because this deck is going to be everywhere very, very soon. It is absolutely dominating right now against just the widest array of decks. It is the Aerodactyl deck. They have the promo Mankey, though, that does 10 damage to itself, which is always kind of... it's a big risk, but big reward if it pays off. But it sometimes makes it where you don't really want Mankey in that front line. You can't really attack with it turn 1 because it makes you susceptible to getting knocked out. With the Professor's Research, we could have went Sabrina, but I think this is probably fine. into the Mankey. Go with the 20 damage low kick. If they leave Hitmonlee in the front line, next turn we have the Primeape plus Giovanni to knock out their Hitmonlee. And then if they're attacking with the Hitmonlee, then their Marshadow is not going to be up and online and functional yet. So they do get their Aerodactyl going very, very fast here. Oh my goodness. Which means we can't evolve the Mankey in the front line, which is a little frustrating. We can still get it online. It just makes us waste an energy. But that was a very fast evolution. They do add on to the Hitmonlee, which we love to see here. Meaning, yeah, that when they attack the old Amber, it's going to be fine. We get a backup old Amber. If we wanted to just throw this one away, we can. No evolution for that frontline Mankey, unfortunately. Let's go ahead and evolve the backline one. We retreat out that frontline one. Get the evolution. We just have to go a long, roundabout way to get there. Let's build here. Let's get rid of this nasty, damaged old Amber. Throw out the new. We go Giovanni. We burn our entire hand here. And now Hitmonlee is gone. And their Marshadow doesn't have that one floated energy, so it's not ready to do the 100 damage revenge attack. They could throw out, what, Mankey? But then we turn around and we destroy it. They could throw out Aerodactyl. It's not ready to attack this turn, so it's going to take just a touch before it gets there. Then if we can somehow, finesse into knocking out the Aerodactyl, then we get our second 2 prizes and we win. Their backup Mankey is fine. No Primeape though? Oof, rough. We do get our Aerodactyl, so let's go ahead and throw him online. And we build up into... Do we go Sabrina? Sabrina would knock out one of their Mankeys. And then all it would take would be another Sabrina. Or 80, 90, 100, 130. We'd need another Giovanni. I'm going to go ahead and hit him with the Sabrina. They could go Marshadow, but then they're reliant on, what, X-Speed? They let us take out their Mankey. Build onto the Aerodactyl. Knock out the second prize token. Then we go from there. And so now, unless they had their Marshadow ready to go, their Marshadow is not going to be able to be online. And so they can never do that pivot. We get the first attack with an Aerodactyl, and so we can take them down in 2 shots. Since we have the prize advantage, we can take our sacrificial Primeape, throw Aerodactyl into its face, and then go from there. We also can't one-shot this Primeape, which is always very interesting. The Sabrina is wild to me here, because we're never gonna throw Aerodactyl. Versus next turn, they take out the Primeape. If we threw Aerodactyl, I guess they could make us pivot out of the Aerodactyl into the Primeape that they get a second token on. I don't know. Do we throw Primeape or Aerodactyl? We're gonna do Aerodactyl. Then Marshadow as a backup. Decent. Yes, decent enough. Let's go ahead and go Land Crush. They can't knock out our Aerodactyl in one shot. They hit us with the Sabrina, we sacrifice the Primeape, and then we go all in on the Aerodactyl again. Building up the Marshadow at this point is not gonna do you good, because we do already have 2 points. And that is where we're gonna go ahead and end the video. Thank you guys, as always, for being here. This has been TLSG. Later, guys.